AITA for not buying my daughter a new car. My 16-year-old daughter's car was wrecked recently. She didn't wreck it, her boyfriend did. I try very hard to have strict boundaries for my daughter without being overly controlling. I got extremely lucky. She never gets in trouble. She's super smart and often joins us on family nights instead of going out with her friends. So when she started seeing this boy, I had to bite my lip. He is a troublemaker. He is the type to be saying the same two lame-ass compliments to about 20 different girls. And he only wants one thing. But I know if I tell my daughter not to see him, she'll double down. I was a teenager before. Well, I didn't tell her not to see him, but I did tell her more than once not to let anyone else drive her car, especially him. She's a very good driver, as well as you can hope from a 16-year-old. I trust her, but not her friends. Naturally, she didn't listen to me. He sweet-talked her into letting him drive and wrapped it around a tree. No one was hurt, thank God, but the car won't start now. My daughter apologized profusely, cried a lot, made many promises she'll forget in 2 days, and has behaved exceptionally well for over a week now. I'm pretty sure she stopped seeing the boy in question, too. Well, until she found out that I had no intention of getting her a new car. She begged, pleaded, cried, made promises, offered to earn it, but I'm not budging. There is 2 ways you learn in this life. You listen to your elders, trusting they have your best interest in mind. Or, much more commonly, you make mistakes, face the consequences, and learn from that. That's what I told her. I warned her many times not to let anyone drive her car, not to see that boy, and she didn't listen. Now she made the mistake. But if I just buy her a new car, there wouldn't have been any consequences. So no car. Hopefully she'll learn. Now, she has taken it way better than I accepted. She still makes comments about how much she's inconveniencing me and my wife when we have to drive her. Still asks often, and there was the usual moody not talking phase. But overall, she is taking it like a champ. It actually weakened my resolve. I always wanted her to have her own car, so she's not dependent on anyone else. But I haven't budgeted so far. AITA. WIBTA if I told my GF to get checked for rabies. Throw Wika's privacy. My girlfriend is currently in Sri Lanka on holiday and she befriended this dog on the beach. It's really friendly and doesn't really look dirty or anything. Every morning when she goes to the beach, it comes to greet her. They're snuggling and it's licking her and never bites or scratches. However, I'm really concerned as the dog doesn't seem to have an owner and I take it as a street dog. She told me on the phone about what a wonderful experience it's been with this dog and that she made a friend. When I learned it had an owner, I immediately told her to be careful as it could have rabies. I ruined the mood, we hung up and she went to bed. I'm honestly concerned as I don't know much about Sri Lanka and how they're governing rabies. I've googled a bit and apparently rabies can spread there now as they have a shortage of vaccines. So WIBTA if I didn't let this go and demanded her to get checked before we kiss when she gets back. AITA for writing my brother off and leaving him stranded because of his mistakes. I have had a complicated relationship with my baby brother since he turned about 17. He started acting out, hanging out with the wrong crowd, and basically digging holes that he couldn't get himself out of. He has a pattern that is well noted in our family of creating a crisis, borrowing money to get out of it, not using the money for what it's intended for, and ghosting the person who gave the money to him. Last year, he put on a really good show of cleaning his life up and getting back on the right track because his 2 children were taken by CPS due to him, and his wife's chronic drug abuse and inability to hold a job. He assured everybody in the family that the social worker had given him a plan and a path forward to getting his children back, and he was holding down a really good job at Exeter. Then, last September, he borrowed a bunch of money again to pay his bills and ghosted everybody. Last night, he started blowing my phone up trying to get a couple of $100 from me because he had wound up stranded in a major city and needed a way to get back somewhere where he knew people and wouldn't be on the streets. Well, last week I found out that he had been lying to the family about his CPS case and his kids had been given up for adoption. He had told the social worker that nobody in his family was fit to raise a child, and so the children were adopted outside of the family, 2 separate families. This is in spite of the fact of the numerous conversations I had with him wherein I told him that I would be more than happy to adopt or foster his kids until he got his life together, and that I was financially and mentally stable enough to do so. When he started calling me last night, I told him to go screw himself and that he was dead to me. I told him I would never forgive him for giving my niece and nephew up for adoption outside of the family when there was a home ready for them if they needed it, with a direct relative. He admitted that he lied to me about the situation and lied to social services, but that I have no right to judge him because I've never had kids of my own. My answer was still no as far as helping him out of the mess he is in. I told him that I chose not to have kids until I was ready, specifically because I didn't want to be in the situation that he's in now and that he just needs to hold himself accountable because I'm not going to rescue him anymore. I told him not to contact me again for any reason. Now I have family members calling me an asshole because I left my baby brother stranded on the streets of a major city when I could have helped him, and for judging him when I've never been in his shoes either as a parent or in life in general. They're saying that I spoke extremely disrespectfully to him and that things are hard enough on him as it is. Am I the asshole? AITA for telling my wife to stop telling our friends we are broke when we are not. My wife became obsessed with saving saving money and budgeting ever since inflation got so high. Every Sunday, she sits down, calculates how much we can spend the next week, and puts only that amount into our shared account. She has been uncomfortably open about this with our friends. For example, if they ask us to go to a bar together, she will say our budget won't let us. Let's drink at home. Whenever they invite us to do something that costs money, she offers a cheaper alternative saying we are trying to save money. My wife is the one responsible for our family finances, and she is generally really good at setting up goals and reaching them, but it has now gotten to the point where my friend drew me aside and asked me if we need help and offered to pay for the next outing. Afterwards, I told my wife about it and told her that she should stop always acting like we are broke because it makes me feel uncomfortable. She said that she always asks for my approval for our weekly budget and that it's not right that I'm now blaming her for a small misunderstanding from my friend. Meanwhile, I agreed to everything. She then kind of called me shallow for worrying about appearances. Am I really the one in the wrong here? She is projecting this image that we are broke everywhere. Meanwhile, we save about 50% of our income every month. AITA for not sharing shampoos with my boyfriend's kids. I have been dating my boyfriend for 2 years. He has 2 little girls, both 6 and 7 from a previous marriage. Every weekend I would sleep over and so I would leave my shampoo and conditioner there. Lately, I noticed that my shampoo has been running out really fast. For example, it's brand new and within 2-3 weeks. It's already halfway or less than halfway. The only people who are living with my BF are him, his 2 kids, his mother, and his half-brother. They have their bathroom so I know it isn't them who uses it. My boyfriend has his own he uses, and the girls have theirs also. We bought a fresh new one for them and it ran out within the next week. We found out that they have been using theirs for bubble baths, and when they run out, they would use mine. Now I don't mind them using it if it's for their hair, but my shampoos are expensive. They cost at least $20 per bottle. After that had happened on multiple occasions, I stopped leaving it in the restroom and keep it hidden in the room. One day the kids were going to shower, so they told my BF they didn't have any shampoos, and my boyfriend asked if they can use mine. I said fine and put some in the travel size for them. I told my boyfriend he needs to go and buy them a new bottle and he should tell them to stop using it for bubble baths or buy a bubble bath one separately. But when they finished, my boyfriend went to use the restroom and turns out they used all of it again for bubble baths only. They didn't wash their hair. The next day, the same thing happened and my BF asked me again. I told him no, I'm not going to give them anymore. It's not my problem because you knew they were out and you were supposed to go buy them a new one. We got into an argument over it, so I told him to let them use his, but they didn't want to. They said it's a boy shampoo. I stood my ground and said no. He needs to teach them to stop doing that. Well, the argument led to them letting their mom know about it. She called my boyfriend and called me a greedy bitch, that they are just kids and it's just shampoo. I can always go buy some more. I then told my boyfriend, why don't she go buy it then? She's hardly in their life and they only see her every other weekend. My boyfriend didn't say anything, but I can tell he agrees with her.